Okay, let's dive into something tricky: religion at work. For what feels like forever, that's been the one topic you just don't touch, right? But is completely avoiding it still the best way to go? We've all heard the advice, avoid politics and religion in the office. It's the third rail. You touch it and you get fried. But here's the thing: our workplaces are getting more and more diverse. So the question becomes, by ignoring this huge part of who people are we actually making it harder to build the kind of connected, successful teams we all want? So let's break this down. We're going to start small, at the most personal level, just a one-on-one chat with a coworker. How in the world do you navigate that without everything getting super awkward? Well, career coach Mary Davids has a really interesting take on this. She says that in a world where we're constantly told to bring our whole selves to work, avoiding a core part of someone's identity can feel, well, less like being professional and more like you just don't care. And that can really damage the trust we're trying so hard to build. So she offers a pretty straightforward three-step framework. First, know the rules. Your company's HR policy is the real law of the land here, not the First Amendment. Second, know the temperature. Basically, read the room. Don't be the one to bring it up, but if you're asked, it's okay to share your views honestly, just without being judgmental. And finally, and this one's huge, know when to walk away. If things get tense, just end the conversation. The goal is connection, not proving a point. Okay, so that's the one-on-one level. But what happens when we zoom out from a single chat to the dynamics of an entire team? When you have a whole bunch of different belief systems working together, probably under a lot of pressure, the stakes get way, way higher. And this leads us to a really fascinating paradox. We hear all the time how great diversity is for business, but when it comes to religious diversity specifically, is it actually good for team performance? Well, the answer is not as simple as you'd think. So you have these two sides to the coin. On the one hand, diversity can be an absolute engine for innovation. You get new perspectives, new ways of looking at a problem, which is awesome. But on the other hand, it can create real friction. It can make communication tougher and slow everything down because you're trying to get all these different viewpoints to agree. So which is it? Well, what's so interesting is that research from the London School of Economics found that both arguments are true. As you can see from this graph, the relationship they discovered isn't some simple straight line. It's a curve. And it reveals something much more surprising. Here's the key takeaway. Team performance actually peaks at a moderate level of religious diversity. It's kind of like a Goldilocks principle. Too little, and you get groupthink. But if diversity gets too high, the team can splinter into these opposing subgroups that just can't find common ground. It's all about finding that perfect sweet spot, that just right mix. So if it's that complicated just at the team level, imagine trying to create rules for an entire organization. Let's zoom out again, this time to the company-wide perspective, and the massive challenge this poses for HR departments. A study of 26 large French companies shows that building a framework for this stuff isn't a quick fix. It's a slow, gradual journey that takes years. It often starts with some kind of shock or incident. Then they start looking at the law, and finally, they start building their own structured in-house rules and training guides. As you can see here, it's a real evolution. And as companies get their acts together, we see different philosophies start to emerge. The French model, for instance, really focuses on a slow, collaborative process to build what they call peaceful coexistence. But if you look at guidance from the UK, it's much more focused on clear legal rules designed to prevent discrimination and manage risk. So you've got two different roads trying to lead to the same destination. Okay, this all feels very practical, doesn't it? It's all about conversations, team performance, legal rules. But what if we've been looking at this through the wrong lens this whole time? What if the real reason this conversation matters is something much, much deeper? So let's take our final zoom out to a view that completely reframes this entire conversation. Welcome to what some call the ion age. And this is a concept that might just change everything. The basic argument goes like this. Since around World War II, we've shifted from an economy of things, iron, steel, physical stuff, to an economy of ideas. Today, the most powerful forces in the world, the most valuable companies aren't built on factories. They're built on intangible concepts created right inside our minds. And to succeed in this new era, you have to master a set of these intangible forces. Notice they all end with ION. You need imagination to create. You need education to understand. You need execution to make things happen, and inspiration to lead. But there's one more critical factor.
And that final and probably most surprising factor is religion. Now, the term here isn't about any specific institution. It's being used as a stand-in for our innate spirituality, that deep human search for meaning and purpose that every single one of us carries into the office every single day.
And this brings us right to our final and most crucial point. What is the role of the human soul in a world that literally runs on ideas? And this isn't some niche fringe idea we're talking about. People may have complicated feelings about organized religion, but look at this. The research shows a staggering 90% of people feel positively about spirituality in one form or another. It is a massive and often totally unspoken part of the human experience. And here it is. This is the core takeaway. If the modern economy is fueled entirely by ideas, ideas that come from our minds, then the people generating those ideas are our most valuable asset. So understanding the whole person, including their spiritual side, isn't just a nice-to-have diversity initiative. It's an absolute strategic imperative. It leaves us with this powerful question, one for every leader, every manager, every single one of us. Maybe the conversation about religion at work isn't really about rules or risk or even performance. Maybe it's about finally acknowledging our shared humanity so we can unlock our full potential.